Okay, so I just wanted to jump on the mic and talk about something I've had difficulty with for a decent portion of my life, as well as some of the ways I've learned to overcome it. I'm mainly doing this for me, but if you relate to this feeling and it appears all too familiar, then that's great. I hope we can have a fun time relaxing and chatting away our emotions. There's this concept I call high highs and low lows, which to me is all about delaying enjoyment until everything feels right. The first time I remember experiencing this was in 10th grade. It was a typical Saturday at home. I, for one reason or another, wasn't feeling like I was in the greatest headspace. However, Mob Psycho 100 Season 2 had just finished airing. This is a show I loved, so I decided to sit down, grab my food, and let the binge commence. And I did binge. All the episodes. And once I finished the last one, guilt. Guilt struck me like crazy. I didn't enjoy it. But it wasn't the show's fault. No, it couldn't have been. The whole time I was watching, all I could think about was how insane the animation was, how captivating the character moments were, how hard-hitting each episode could have felt. But it didn't. And that was my fault. I watched the show when I was in a low place, and that only sullied the experience I could have had. Obviously, at this point, I was telling myself a lot of facts that were intensely personal and most of them weren't true, like I was narrating my own story to myself. It was difficult for me to come to terms with what I was thinking. I even tried rewatching the show right after, hoping to capture an emotion long lost in my pool of overthinking. Anyway, the rest of the story follows with my mom, confused why I was so long-faced, but rightfully taking me outside of the house to accompany her shopping. She then bought me a brand new shirt, which I cherished for years to come. This wasn't the end of that lesson though. Slowly, as I had more and more experiences which affected my mood in life, as we all do, I had taught myself to reserve positive experiences for moments in which I was already happy. This meant things like shows, games, even sometimes hanging out with friends. Consequently, this meant depriving myself of these experiences if I was in a subpar mood. So, I would be happy, do something that makes me happy, and be even happier. A high high. Then, I would be sad, prevent myself from doing anything that makes me happy, and stay sad. A low low. I feel like it's important to note that my reason for abstaining from my interests wasn't the result of some sadistic instinct. It all came back to that idea from the Mob Psycho story. I was afraid of tarnishing the possibility of what could be an amazing experience, so I would put it off until it felt right. This sucked. It wasn't exactly the healthiest option for me, fluctuating between these emotional states that are so extreme. My brother was the first person to really bring this out to me. I thought I had to live this way, but he let me know that I should try to stay away from patterns like this. So, here I am now, trying to overcome it. Addressing the underlying reasons for my negative mood has been part of this journey, which I've done through mindfulness, self-improvement, and building a more balanced lifestyle, the usual approaches. However, the main focus of this video that I want to bring attention to is towards gaining more control over my tendency to delay enjoyment until everything feels perfect. Even with the healthiest of minds, we'll still get moments where our mental isn't where we expected it to be. It's important that when this happens to me, I wouldn't fall into that same routine. This might seem like a tangent, but it's one of the reasons I've never found much escapism in the media I enjoy. Whenever I dive into these interests of mine, my mind ties it to everything else in my life, like every strand of string intertwining to form a rope, all of it inseparable from the whole. For example, I might be playing a game and think, this game feels more fun because I asked out a girl today, and I'm riding that high. My emotions bleed into the experience, shaping how I perceive it. Oddly enough, my real escape tends to come from work. Whether it's school assignments or personal projects, work feels neutral, something I can do whether I'm happy or sad. The result looks the same either way, progress. There's no wrong way to experience it, and maybe that's why it feels like a break from everything else. So what is this answer that I'm looking for? One of the notions my brother brought to my attention is that you should do what you want. Sure, it's okay to wait sometimes until you're in the right mood for something, but accept that everything you experience will be different, especially from the expectations you had in your mind. Embracing imperfection. Have I perfected this? Not really. It's still a process, though I've found that I've definitely improved from when I was younger. Nowadays, what usually happens is I ponder whether I should have the privilege of sitting down to watch something. But I say screw it, and do it anyway, because I want to. Then, while I'm in the midst of my episode, I'll sporadically pause it and think, is everything in place? Are all the conditions met for me to perfectly experience this? Then I say, who cares about the conditions? I already have what I need. I can do this. I can sit down and enjoy something without an intrusive thought inhibiting my path. Because that's what enjoyment is. It's not dependent on external factors building it up to a higher pedestal. It simply exists. It's here to be enjoyed in the present moment. To have my mind in other places is the exact opposite of presence. But once I acknowledge that, it then becomes what the present is. I'm present. Thanks so much for listening. Honestly, it felt good writing this out, almost like journaling my thoughts in a way. I like how genuine I can be on this channel. I pretty much just wrote out whatever I thought on this script, and this is what I got. If you've had any similar experiences though, then please share. I've always thought this to be a somewhat niche issue of mine, but I'd love to be proven wrong, and I might be able to learn something from you. As always, catch you on the flip.